All right, imagine looking up at your city skyline, but instead of the usual glass and steel, you're staring at giant, glowing television screens. Today, we're jumping right into this explainer to deconstruct a seriously ambitious and honestly kind of fascinating investment pitch deck from a company called OTTIMEDIA. Their promise? To basically turn global commercial real estate into a massive media infrastructure. They literally want to transform the skyscrapers we walk past every single day into colossal, high-yield digital billboards. It's a bold pitch, packed with huge financial projections and some pretty wild technological claims. So we're going to dig right into their actual deck to see exactly what they're proposing, how they claim it works, and those astronomical numbers they're dangling in front of investors.
Now, to really get where this pitch is coming from, we have to look at the massive problem it's trying to solve. Look, we all know the commercial real estate sector is facing an absolute existential threat right now. This deck builds its whole foundation on that crisis. The premise? Employment inside these massive office buildings is projected to plummet below 30%. Thanks to the huge shift toward remote work and the rise of AI, these incredibly expensive traditional office towers are, well, they're emptying out. And if you own one of these structures, that's a massive red alert. Landlords desperately need a totally new way to monetize these properties if they can't fill them with rent-paying workers. And that brings us to the big fix, proposed by OTTIMEDIA and its founder, Nicola Tetti. Visually, the vision is pretty stunning. They want to transform the physical facades of these half-empty office towers into ultra-bright, high-yield digital billboards. They call it street TV. It's a total flip of the script. Instead of relying on the inside of the building to make money through office space, OTTIMEDIA wants to monetize the outside. By literally wrapping skyscrapers in digital advertising, they're claiming they can generate a revenue stream that blows traditional commercial rent out of the water.
But hold on a second. You're probably thinking, if you cover a massive building and a TV screen, what happens to the folks who are still working inside? Are they just staring at the back of a circuit board all day? Well, the pitch claims to have solved that nightmare. They're touting ultra-thin, transparent digital LED video walls. According to the deck, these screens actually let in 70% of the natural light from outside. So you can install them right over a glass facade without killing the view or plunging the interior offices into total darkness. Plus, they claim these transparent screens hold up in incredibly high resolution, meaning they are super visible to the streets below, even on a ridiculously sunny day.
Okay, so having a giant screen is cool, but how do you actually get global brands to buy space on it? Their strategy is to aggressively, and I mean aggressively, undercut the market. To put this in perspective, a massive brand like Google drops roughly $24 million a year for a giant billboard in Times Square. OTTIMEDIA, they're pitching annual advertising rates for an entire skyscraper facade for a mere fraction of that cost, just $200,000 to $500,000 a year. And let's be clear, that pricing gap isn't just some friendly little discount. The deck points out that OPTIMEDIA's rates are roughly 120 times lower than similar top-tier competitors. Literally 120 times lower. This is a super deliberate, ultra-aggressive pricing model, and it's designed to do exactly one thing: guarantee these massive ad spaces get snatched up immediately. By offering absolute prime real estate at rock-bottom prices, they're trying to make it a total no-brainer for global brands, ensuring the network is fully booked the very second it goes live. But here's the catch. To build this global network, OTTIMEDIA actually needs to get their hands on the skyscrapers first. So how do you convince a commercial landlord to wrap their prized multi-million-dollar property in LEDs? You give them an incredibly lucrative incentive structure. First off, OTTIMEDIA pays them a baseline rent of $200,000 per facade, and that comes with a guaranteed 20% annual bump. Second, if the landlord gets their own commercial tenants to advertise on the screen, the landlord pockets a cool 20% commission. Oh, and third, the building owner gets 200 grand's worth of free advertising every single year for their own use. The pitch basically argues that turning a standard office building into a glowing global landmark will absolutely skyrocket its overall market value. Now, this next part is wild. The pitch goes way beyond your standard brand ads and introduces what they call a psychological solution to speed up real estate sales. The concept is that real estate agencies could run these short, 15-second spots showcasing luxury properties on the giant screens. The theory? If you bombard wealthy visiting buyers with these larger-than-life ultra-high-res property showcases, it's going to psychologically influence them. It's meant to cut down the time they spend physically touring places and basically pressure them into signing those multi-million-dollar contracts fast while they're still in town. It is an incredibly audacious tactic for sure. All right, let's talk numbers, because the unit economics here get seriously aggressive. They estimate a one-time installation cost of about $1.8 million for a large display.
On that display, they plan to rotate anywhere from 24 to over 100 advertiser slots. Since every single client is paying that $200,000 to $500,000 a year, a single building is projected to pull in a jaw-dropping $6 million to $30 million in year-one revenue alone. And because those margins are just so high, the deck claims that the entire $1.8 million setup cost will be completely paid off in just 2 to 3 weeks after launch. 2 to 3 weeks.
So what's the actual engine behind those massive numbers and that lightning-fast return on investment? It's a completely ruthless cash flow model. They are absolutely not waiting around for net 90 invoice payments. According to the pitch, if a client wants those dramatically discounted rates, they have to pay for the entire year of advertising 100% upfront. And get this, the payment is expected within just 7 days of the campaign launch. That means OTTIMEDIA is projecting a massive, immediate cash injection the literal second a building screen turns on.
Which brings us to the absolute wildest financial claim in the whole deck. This is a direct lure for high-stakes investors hunting for exponential growth. Unlike a normal startup that might take years to turn a modest profit, OTTIMEDIA explicitly promises what they call massive revenue. They are projecting a staggering return of at least 3,000% within just a few months of starting operations. I mean, 3,000%. It's an eye-watering figure, and it's clearly a specific tactic to grab immediate attention and secure funding.
Now, zoom out for a second. When you take those unit economics for a single building and scale them up globally, the projections just explode. The deck outlines a first-year goal of locking down 30 top locations worldwide. If they hit their base targets, they project a minimum global revenue of 180 million euros in year one. But if they manage to hit the higher end of their pricing and client targets across those 30 cities, the deck projects a maximum first-year revenue capping out at a mind-bending 900 million euros. So how do they plan to actually pull this off? Well, the roadmap outlines a hyper-ambitious global rollout. I mean, they're even mocking up this street TV tech on historic landmarks like Big Ben. Just imagine centuries-old structures wrapped in modern sneaker or streaming ads. It is a stunning display of hubris, you got to admit. The broader plan also involves applying to the EU Commission for a €30 million practically non-refundable grant. From there, they want to expand at breakneck speed into massive wealth centers like Dubai, London, and Mumbai, all with the goal of hitting a multi-billion-dollar valuation within the first couple of years. Which really leaves us with a fascinating proposition to chew on. We've gone through the mechanics, we've looked at the transparent LED tech, the totally disruptive pricing model, and those honestly staggering financial projections from the deck. So we've got to ask, is street TV the inevitable glowing future of our city skylines? Is it a brilliant pivot for commercial real estate in the remote work era? Or when you stock up the promise of a 3,000% return against the physical, regulatory, and historical nightmare of turning every major skyscraper into a billboard, is this just an incredibly, incredibly ambitious pitch? It's a striking vision of tomorrow's metropolis, for sure, and definitely one we'll be keeping an eye on. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.